Hello and welcome back to another video providing you content today, which is basically consisting of me reacting to the Joe Biden remarks following the explosions outside the Kabul airport. Now, again, Joe Biden has recently decided to pull out of Afghanistan, which has been a disaster for the Afghan race. Now, that's a joke. But ostensibly, what is happening is that not only is it a botched pullout, but now there's actively suicide vest wearers, enjoyers, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, whatever you want to call them, these ISIS people, these Muslims, blowing themselves up, which in turn has, I think, killed a dozen Americans, maybe 20, something like that, some relevant to the news. And so the highest amount of casualties in the last 10 years in a single day. So that's pretty cool. So let's hear them out.
Tough day. This evening in Kabul, as you all know, terrorists attacked that we've been talking about and worried about.
So far, so boring. And, how to enhance this would be to help you guys out and move it up a little bit in speed. Well, let's see what happens.
That the intelligence community has has undertaken an attack by a group known as ISIS-K. Took the lives of American service members standing guard at the airport and wounded several others seriously. Yeah.
He's taking way too long to speak, and it's very obvious that he's senile. I mean, this is so clear. You can't even argue this, man. It's over.
And also wounded a number of civilians, and civilians were killed as well. I've been engaged all day in constant contact with the military commanders here in Washington, the Pentagon, as well as in Afghanistan and Doha. And my commanders here in Washington in the field have been on this with great detail, and you've had a chance to speak to some so far. The situation on the ground is still evolving.
Still evolving. Okay, so very vague, not interesting at all. Right, so let's skip it around even faster. 2 speed.
These American service members who gave their lives, it's an overused word, but it's totally appropriate here, were heroes.
He looks
heroes
alive.
Who've been engaged in a dangerous, selfless mission to save the lives of others. They're a part of an airlift and evacuation effort unlike any seen in history, with more than 100,000 American citizens, American partners, Afghans who helped us, and others taken to safety in the last 11 days. Just in the last 12 hours or so, another 7,000 have gotten out. They're a part of the bravest, most capable, and most selfless military on the face of the earth. And they're part of simply what I call the backbone of America. They're the spine of America, the best the country has to offer. Jill and I, our hearts ache, like I'm sure all of you do as well, for all those Afghan families who lost loved ones, including small children.
He says that in a very cold way. Like, how the hell does he think about himself, like, speaking? He has no self-awareness, from what I can tell. And of course, this guy is a smart guy insofar as he was maybe like 10 years ago, pre-senility. But at this point, this guy does not know what's going on. He's reading out of the teleprompter. He's coughing on the camera, during Corona. And that's obviously not a good look. And he's also just being super low energy to the point where I have to double speed, and he's still coming off a little bit slow and very little emphasis on each word as well. So again, just complete disaster, unadulterated. And again, I was watching this on Ben Stow's stream earlier today, partially, in single speed, and that that stuff, that shiznit was awful. It was so boring. So I'm just trying to help you guys out, putting the CC here, closed captions. Maybe you can read a little bit. Also getting rid of that stupid, annoying woman who was doing these hand signals, these gang signs, trying to help people that are deaf, as if anybody's deaf. Like, have you met anybody who's deaf? Honestly, come on. So again, fake disability. We all know that. I'm joking, by the way, and we'll keep on playing.
Or been wounded in a vicious attack. And we're outraged as well as heartbroken. Being the father of a Army major who served for a year in Iraq, and before that was in Kosovo as a U.S. attorney for the better part of 6 months in the middle of a war. When he came home after a year in Iraq, he was diagnosed, like many coming home, with an aggressive and lethal cancer of the brain. We lost. We have some sense, like many of you do, what the families of these brave heroes are feeling today. You get this feeling like you're being sucked into a black hole in the middle of your chest. There's no way out. My heart aches for you, but I know this. We have a continuing obligation, a sacred obligation to all of you, the families of those heroes. That obligation is not temporary, it lasts forever.
If you were to notice his face, especially above the eye level and surrounding the eye immediately, you can see like how his skin texture is kind of like a breastless turkey, or a skinless turkey. It's very gross, but so he's visibly aging first and foremost. And second of all, what I will say is that He's bringing up his son for no good reason other than to pull on heartstrings because he's a bitch, and the people who write for him are sociopathic. But keep in mind that they're trying to say, like, okay, so my son died of cancer, which has literally nothing to do with the war, and I feel bad. You know, my son died for no reason of the president, and when I do this botched, fucked up pullout, it's the same. You know, I feel bad for you guys. It's like, no. Those people didn't have to die from suicide vests. This was a politically motivated thing. It was something that could have been prevented had the pullout been better, and obviously he's to blame somewhat. And to be completely honest, him comparing it to his son getting cancer is completely disingenuous and very insincere. Very
The lives we
clearly,
lost today were
obviously.
lives given in the service of liberty, the service of security, the service of others, in the service of America. Like their fellow brothers and sisters in arms who have died defending our vision and our values in the struggle against terrorism. Of the fallen this day, they're part of a great and noble company of American heroes. To those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this: we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
What the fuck was that? So he's saying we will not forgive, we will not forget. Okay, so how are you going to not forgive them and not forget about it and then pull out? What the hell are you thinking? And then he says, we will hunt you down and make you pay. How does that make any sense? Plus, coming from him, that's no threat at all. You might as well have had a woman say that, like Kamala. That is not threatening. Oh, this 80-year-old white dude, he says he's going to pull up on my street with a strap. Like, come on, bro. Get real. Nothing's going to happen. And even if it does, it runs counter to his whole idea of pulling out. So he says, oh, ISIS-K or whatever the hell they're gaslighting us into believing are the Afghans. You know, these ISIS people, you guys are real mean. And, you know, you're killing our guys unnecessarily and unprovoked. And you know what? You guys are going to get hunted down with what troops, bro? If you're pulling out, how are you going to kill us? Well, we're going to bomb indiscriminately and kill a ton of civilians, and we're just going to say we killed you guys, and then we're going to get the political victory. That's probably what he's thinking, or whoever his handlers are thinking. And this empty threat is just going to delegitimize the government, okay? When Donald Trump makes threats, right, and he says, you know what, if you do this, I'm going to bomb your country, Bashar al-Assad, and he says, no, Trump, you're a big mouth talker. You know what, nothing's going to happen. You have a big mouth. You're not going to pull the trigger. He pulled the trigger, and guess what? Bashar cocked himself. He said, you know what, okay, fine, he's actually for real. Joe Biden saying, oh, you know, I have the balls to actually kill you guys. Really? Then why are you pulling out? And do you really want to politically sabotage the pullout even more than you already have by redeploying and hunting down these people? Or even best case, what? You're going to bomb ISIS and like kill civilians and have the news cover it and make you look stupid? I mean, this is just ridiculous. There's no way he can win this. And him making empty threats delegitimizes us. Why? Because it's virtually inflation. You're saying this and then not following up. Every single time a president makes a threat and doesn't follow through with it, it'll make the enemies feel like we're not actually going to pull through the next time we make a threat. So for example, if we had a president over the last 50 years and these presidents always followed up on all their threats, then going forward, when a new president like Joe Biden says, oh, I'm going to actually hunt you down, the ISIS people that are smart enough to study history of our country would say, okay, well, actually, they're going to follow through. They have a history of following through. Whereas if you're having empty threats, like Obama with the red line in Syria, or with Biden with ISIS-K and the suicide bombing in Afghanistan, and you don't follow through, next time they're going to be like, oh, DeSantis, oh, wait, oh, you're threatening to kill us? Yeah, bullshit. And they'll just keep going, and you're going to force his hand to kill people. So this is not good. He's delegitimizing us, and he's inflating our sense of self-worth and just devaluing it in general. So making more and more copious, frivolous threats that you're not going to back up is just hurting our standing globally. And even if you do follow through on them, it's not going to work out the way you think. So it's not even worth
I will defend our interests and our people with every measure at my command. Over the past few weeks, I know many of you are probably tired of hearing me say it, we've been made aware by our intelligence community that the ISIS-K, an arch enemy, the Taliban, people who were freed when both those prisons
Taliban,
were open,
like what, like Cinnabon?
has been planning a complex set of attacks on United States personnel and others. This is why, from the outset, I've repeatedly said this mission was extraordinarily dangerous, and why I've been so determined to limit the duration of this mission. As General McKenzie said, this is why our mission was designed, this is the way it was designed to operate under severe stress and attack. We've known that from the beginning.
That's so stupid.
Because I've been in constant contact with our senior military leaders, and I mean constant, around the clock, and our commanders on the ground throughout the day. They made it clear that we can and we must complete this mission, and we will.
He just said he was on vacation. How is he in constant communication?
We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation.
That's so stupid. The terrorists are saying, oh, get the hell out of here. Oh, get out of here, white boy. Oh, you guys are pussies. Get the fuck out. And this guy's saying, you will not deter us from our mission of running the fuck away. Really? You bullies will not deter us from giving you our lunch money and running away and crying in the bathroom. Oh, wow, Chad. Okay. Yeah, real cool, bro. Really? What the fuck? And then he's going to say, oh, we're going to hunt you down. So then what is it then? So the bully says, give me your lunch money and get the hell out of here, pussy. And then you say, oh, you know what? Fuck you, dude. I'm going to hunt you down. I'm going to kick your ass and also I'm going to run away. And you're not going to stop me from running away. What kind of logic is that? There is no logic at all. Even the people that are trying to deliberately write this and try to set up a narrative cannot do it fast enough, or they're too stupid to make one. And honestly, if they put a gun in my head, I don't know how I would logic my way out of this one. He's really put himself in a bind, and it's his fault, so fuck Joe Biden. And even if he's not in control, the people around him know better, and fuck them too. And even if Joe Biden is senile, he still deserves blame because he was the one who 2 years ago when he was less senile said, you know what, I'm going to run because I'm of the right age and I can do it. So no, screw him. What a piece of shit, man. So stupid.
I've also ordered my commanders to develop operational plans to strike ISIS-K assets, leadership, and facilities. We will respond with force and precision at our time, at the place we choose, in the moment of our choosing. Here's what you need to know. These ISIS terrorists will not win. We will rescue the Americans in there. We will get our Afghan allies out. And our mission will go on. America will not be intimidated. And I have the utmost confidence in our brave service members who continue to execute this mission with courage and honor to save lives and get Americans, our partners, our Afghan allies out of Afghanistan. Every day when I talk to our commanders, I ask them what they need. What more do they need, if anything, to get the job done? As they will tell you, I granted every request. I reiterated to them today on 3 occasions that they should take the maximum steps necessary to protect our forces on the ground in Kabul. And I also want to thank the Secretary of Defense, the military leadership of the Pentagon, and all the commanders in the field. There has been complete unanimity from every commander on the objectives of this mission and the best way to achieve those objectives. Those who have served through the ages have drawn inspiration from the book of Isaiah. When the Lord's...
But how... Okay, so the unanimity is not good. Basically, he's offsetting blame on himself by saying, like, oh, these people that know more about the war than I do are agreeing with me. Well, what else are they going to do? Just be like, okay, so let's say you have a chief of staff or joint chiefs of staff of, let's say, 5 generals or whatever it is, and 1 or 2 of them disagree with the majority and the president. What are they going to do? It's not like the liberals in the Pentagon attack the president really openly like that. So what the hell are they going to do? Be contrarian and not follow through with Biden's request? I mean, obviously they're going to have to do what he does. I mean, tells them to do. And like, oh, they agree with what I'm doing. Yeah, of course they are, because what else are they going to do? If you're already saying, look, one condition is that we're not going to fight back and we're going to pull out, like, you know, forever. What the fuck are they supposed to do other than that? So you saying like, oh, they agree with me. They're doing what I'm telling them to do. Yeah, of course. You put them in a bind, bro. You're basically not even blackmailing. You're just leveraging that the onus will be on them, if not, you know, helping you. So again, very dishonest.
Says, whom shall I send? Who shall go for us? The American military has been answering for a long time. Here I am, Lord, send me. Here I am, send me. Each one of these women and men of our armed forces are the heirs of that tradition of sacrifice, of volunteering to go in harm's way, to risk everything, not for glory, not for profit, but to defend what we love and the people we love.
To defend what? Not for profit. Okay. So I really dislike and I really have a disdain for him using scripture and twisting it to say, oh, I really appreciate you guys. It's a very glorious, holy thing that you're fighting in Afghanistan and now that you're pulling out without actually achieving the goals that you want. And you could argue, well, but we killed Osama, says the liberal, covering for Biden. Well, if that's the case, if the whole point was to get revenge for 9/11, then why didn't we pull out under Obama? When Vice President Biden was still in office, right? And why didn't he convince Obama to pull out in between 2012 and 2016? Okay, why didn't he tell him that? And even if he did, why didn't he publicly rebuke him and stir up controversy if he really cared? It's either because he never thought we should have pulled out under Obama, in which case that makes him a hypocrite, or number 2, he actually agreed with pulling out after getting revenge for 9/11, and he was just too much of a pussy and honestly a sociopath, wanting the presidency for himself to not actually publicly go fight for it. So of course this guy is either disingenuous or stupid. Okay, so pick one, honestly.
And I ask that you join me now in a moment of silence for all those in uniform and out, military and civilian, who have given the last full measure of devotion.
It just makes him look asleep. That's not a good idea, man.
We have so much steadfast means by which we can find any American who wishes to get out of Afghanistan. We will find them and we will get them out. Ladies and gentlemen, I gave me a list here. The first person I was instructed to call on was Kelly O'Donnell of NBC.
You have said leaving Afghanistan.
Okay, now he's getting questions from the reporters by himself, which is kind of impressive for Biden. Now, that's not saying anything. And also, keep in mind, they had a list. He says, first from this list or whatever, first from this piece of paper. So they not only has he does he know in what order he's going to get these answers from and like where they're from, NBC, Fox, whatever. He's also probably being prepped with what they're going to say, or at least they have strict guidelines as to what they can ask them. Obviously, they can say, well, Mr. Fraudulency, how are you going to, stuff like that. Or what do you think about your son molesting his niece? They're not going to say that because politically that doesn't benefit him at all. So again, we'll see how he handles these prepared questions, these coordinated questions in all likelihood, and at the very least, how is he going to deal with the coordinated list of people he's supposed to call on, which is unprecedented, or at least it didn't happen under Trump. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's go.
Afghanistan is in the national interest of the United States. After today's attack, do you believe you will authorize additional forces to respond to that attack inside Afghanistan? And are you prepared to add additional forces to protect those Americans who remain on the ground carrying out the evacuation operation?
I've instructed the military, whatever they need, if they need additional force, I will grant it. But the military, from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the commanders in the field, have all contacted me one way or another, usually by letter, saying they subscribe to the mission as designed to get as many people out as we can within the time frame that is allotted. That is the best way, they believe, to get as many Americans out as possible and others. And with regard to tracking down.
This makes no sense. So he's saying, the honest truth here, if you were being honest, is okay. I told them, or Kamala, whoever, told them the political plan, and then they had to go with it, and then I'm going to pretend like they're the ones who are giving me the plan, and I'm just giving them permission to follow what the generals are doing, because it's not the senile old guy that's making up the pullout that got botched. It was actually the experienced, non-senile West Point graduates that are the Joint Chiefs of Staffs or whatever. I mean, does that make sense at all? Of course not. So he's lying again, and again, he's saying, okay, so the question is, will you put in more troops to defend the people that are already getting killed, or are you just going to keep running away and just hope they stop killing you? In which case he's saying, oh, I'll grant any troop request, but obviously he's coordinating with the generals not to add in more troops. And even if he did add troops, that defeats the purpose of pulling out in the first place. So again, he's losing either way, which is perfect. Fuck him, catch 22. And it's his fault. Nobody told him to pull out. He didn't have to. So
we have some reason to believe we know who they are, not certain, and we will find ways of our choosing without large military operations to get them wherever they are. Trevor, Reuters.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's been some criticism, even from people in your party, about the dependence on the Taliban to secure the perimeter of the airport. Do you feel like there was a mistake made in that regard?
No, I don't. Look, I think General McKenzie handled this question very well. The fact is that we're inherited a situation, particularly since, as we all know, that the Afghan military collapsed 11 days, that it is in the interest of, as McKenzie said, in the interest of the Taliban, that, in fact, ISIS-K does not metastasize beyond what it is, number one. And number two, it's in their interest that we are able to leave on time, on target. As a consequence of that, the major things we've asked them, moving back the perimeter, giving more space between the wall, stopping vehicles from coming through, etc., searching people coming through, it is not what you'd call a tightly commanded, regimented operation like the U.S. is, the military is, but they're acting in their interest. And so, by and large, and I've asked the same question to military on the ground, whether or not it's a useful exercise. No one trusts them. We're just counting on their self-interest to continue to generate their activities. And it's in their self-interest that we leave when we said, and that we get as many people out as we can.
Again, I mean, that is sort of true that it is in their interest for us to leave, but also he's going to say, oh, it's in their interest for us to get our people back. Are you fucking kidding me? Why not keep hostages to blackmail the administration over, knowing that it would politically damage him like it did Carter? I mean, why not? They clearly would be willing to do that. I mean, these people, the Taliban, are savages, of course. So, again, I mean, there's no assurance. His assurance is, well, I'm assuming, if I'm inferring correct, they're these rational terrorists, the Taliban, are really going to follow a political pursuit that is in the best interest of us too. I mean, that's so dumb. And he's saying, okay, so we're gonna let them control the perimeter of our entire evacuation main, strong point, which is Bagram Air Base, and just hope to God that they don't go back on their word, which they've done numerous times, like even under Trump. So again, he's being a complete, so dumb. And again, I'm not even for redeploying. Like, it's too late at this point. It's a complete loss, and it's his fault. But he's trying to offset the blame on the generals and hoping that the Taliban will not squeeze our balls while they have it in their hands. I mean, seriously, you know how dumb that sounds? And they don't want ISIS to metastasize, or whatever. He doesn't want the Taliban don't want ISIS to grow. Well, that is probably true. Keep in mind that it does, like, just having the U.S. be around in defending their own perimeter would actually free up more Taliban people to kill ISIS rather than diverting troops to secure our withdrawal. So again, completely illogical from Joe Biden, and also somewhat lying as well, and being naive too. It's a combination of very bad
Like I said,
attributes.
even in the midst of everything happening today, over 7,000 people have gotten out, over 5,000 Americans overall. So it's not a matter of trust; it's a matter of mutual self-interest. And but there's no evidence thus far that I've been given as a consequence by any of our commanders in the field that there has been collusion between the Taliban and ISIS in carrying out what happened today, both in front of the hotel and what is expected to continue for beyond today. Amir, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have spoken, again, powerfully about your own son and the weight of these decisions. With that in mind, and also what you've said, that the longer we stay, the more likelihood that there would be a major attack. How do you weigh staying even one more day, considering what's happened?
Because I think what America says matters. What we say we're going to do in the context in which we say we're going to do it, that we do it, unless something exceptional changes. There are additional American citizens. There are additional green card holders. There are additional personnel of our allies. There are additional SIV card holders. There are additional Afghans that have helped us. And there are additional groups of individuals that have been contacted us, from women's groups to NGOs and others, who have expressly indicated they want to get out and have gathered in certain circumstances in groups, on buses and other means. That still presents the opportunity for the next several days between now and the 31st to be able to get them out. And our military, and I believe, to the extent that we can do that knowing the threat, knowing that we may very well have another attack, the military has concluded that's what we should do. I think they're right. I think they're correct. And after that, we're going to be in a circumstance where there will be, I believe, numerous opportunities to continue to provide access for additional persons to get out of Afghanistan, either through means that we provide and or are provided through in cooperation with the Taliban. They're not good guys, the Taliban. I'm not suggesting that at all. But they have keen interest. As many of you have been reporting, they very much would like to figure out how to keep the airport open. They don't have the capacity to do it. They very much are trying to
So he's
figure out
repeating himself. Hold
whether
on, let me
something
skip
happened,
through a little
why
bit.
it would be.
Save on time here. He's taking way too long to explain the same shit over again.
Take a few more questions. And
What do you say to the Afghan?
Okay, wait, hold on.
I wanted to ask you,
That's okay.
you say that what America says matters. What do you say to the Afghans who helped troops who may not be able to get out by August 31st?
I
What
say we're
do
going
you
to
say?
continue to try to get you out. It matters. Look, I know of no conflict, as a student of history, no conflict where when a war was ending, one side was able to guarantee that everyone they wanted to be extracted from that country would get out. And think about it, folks. I think it's important. I know the American people get this in their gut. There are, I would argue, millions of Afghani citizens who are not Taliban, who did not actively cooperate with us as SIVs, who have given a chance, they'd be on board a plane tomorrow. It sounds ridiculous, but the vast majority of people in communities like that want to come to America given a choice. So getting every single person out can't be guaranteed to anybody because there's a determination all who wants to get out as well. Anyway, it's a process. I was really pointing to you.
Wow, what the fuck? Okay, so this guy's saying, well, how am I supposed to guarantee everybody that has helped us get out if there's millions of people that if given the chance could come here? How the hell am I supposed to get them all? Well, that's not what anybody is saying. Nobody's saying bring in refugees of people that dissent from the Taliban government. We're saying get the people that are explicitly U.S. citizens. Maybe some people are advocating for getting people that helped us against the Taliban, against Al-Qaeda, in the last 20 years. But of course he's saying, well, no, let me obstruct and let me try to poison the well by saying, okay, well, I can't guarantee millions of people over here on planes. Like, come on. Nobody's saying that, bro. It's extremely disingenuous, very evil what he's doing. Very fucked up, honestly. And I mean, it's the equivalent of saying, if Trump said, oh, well, I don't understand why you're expecting me to deport illegal immigrants. I mean, like, if I wanted to deport everybody who you guys don't like, that'd be impossible. There's like 10 million people that I just don't like. And how am I going to get rid of them? I can't do it. It's obviously lying. You're saying you're adding preconditions to what the other person is saying without them saying it. So it's very evil. So he's obfuscating because he's full of shit and he knows that, and he can't fulfill the promise he already made, which is get everybody out. It was U.S. personnel as well as people that helped us. He didn't. He also said, "Oh, well, why do you think the Afghan government is going to collapse to the Taliban? I mean, they have 300,000 troops and they have our guns. How are they going to lose? And it crumbles in less than 2 weeks. This guy is complete baloney, bro. He's lying about virtually everything. almost every, like 80% of the stuff he says is a lie.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are reports that U.S. officials provided the Taliban with names of Americans and Afghan officials to evacuate. Were you aware of that? Did that happen? And then, sir, did you personally reject a recommendation to hold or to recapture Bagram Air Force Base?
Here's what I've done. Let's answer the last question first. On the tactical questions of how to conduct an evacuation or war, I gather up all the major military personnel that are in Afghanistan, the commanders, as well as the Pentagon. And I ask for their best military judgment. What would be the most efficient way to accomplish the mission? They concluded, the military, that Bagram was not much value added, that it was much wiser to focus on Kabul. And so I followed that recommendation. With regard to, there are certain circumstances where we've gotten information, and quite frankly, sometimes from some of you, saying you know of such and such a group of people or trying to get out.
Okay, so there you go. Another mistake. He's saying, well, again, offsetting blame to the military like he has been this entire time. He's saying, well, the reason why we didn't defend Bagram Air Base, which is literally the biggest airstrip in all of Afghanistan that I can tell of, which is very easily fortified and defended. He says, well, the generals told me, which I don't know if he's being honest, but okay, let's go and assume he is. So the generals told me that it's better to defend the capital city of Afghanistan, which is Kabul, instead of defending the biggest airstrip that we spent billions of dollars on, namely Bagram Air Force Base, and just abandon that and let whatever is there get looted, etc. And the Black Hawk helicopters, Seahawk helicopters, whatever's in there, millions of dollars of equipment, and just let that be taken by the Taliban and let the Russians look into that shit and, dig into our technology, which is of no use to us, obviously, that they go through our stuff. But ultimately, we're going to see that on the black market. Not only that, but he's saying, well, I only had enough troops to defend Kabul. And if that's the case, well, why pull out now then? Why not? If you were going to be politically, neutral, and if you're going to not care about your own polls and be a selfless, patriot and say, you know what, I want to pull out, but let's fly in 20,000 more troops from wherever else. Let's get 20,000 people from Kuwait or wherever we have troops in reserve and say, okay, well, we'll use these guys to defend Bagram, and then we're going to defend Kabul and actually get the whole evacuation. But no, he said, we're going to use whatever's still there so that I don't get hit and get flack from the left for deploying more troops into Afghanistan. And I'm going to use whatever meager resources we have in order to pull out before September starts so that I can politically win by 9/11 2021. Okay, that's the way he thinks, or at least I think so. So again, he could have devoted more troops and had a better pullout, but he didn't because he wanted to rush it because he is selfish. Okay, no good. Big L. Super evil, bro. Like, this is next level, unadulterated evil. And let me click play.
On a bus, they're moving
All right.
from other people. And this is their location. And there have been occasions when our military has contacted their military counterparts in the Taliban and said, for example, this bus is coming through with X number of people on it, made up of the following group of people. We want you to let that bus or that group through. So yes, there have been occasions like that. And to the best of my knowledge, in those cases, the bulk of that has occurred, they've been let through. But I can't tell you with any certitude that there's actually been a list of names. I know there may have been, but I know of no circumstances. That means it didn't exist. That here's the names of 12 people, they're coming, let them through. It could very well have happened. I'll take one more question. Wait. Let me take the one question from the most interesting guy that I know in the press. That's you.
Mr. President, there had not been a U.S. service member killed in combat in Afghanistan since February of 2020. You set a deadline, you pulled troops out, you sent troops back in, and now 12 Marines are dead. You said the buck stops with you. Do you bear any responsibility for the way that things have unfolded in the last 2 weeks?
I bear responsibility for fundamentally all that's happened of late. But here's the deal. I wish you'd one day say these things. You know as well as I do that the former president made a deal with the Taliban that he would get all American forces out of Afghanistan by May 1. In return, the commitment was made, and that was a year before. In return, he was given a commitment that the Taliban would continue to attack others, but would not attack any American forces. Remember that? I'm being serious. No, I'm asking you a question. Because before... No, wait a minute. I'm asking you a question. Is that accurate, the best of your knowledge? What?
Whoa, complete L. The way he stuck his face into his hands is complete beta, pussy maneuver. The way he had to strain to look 20 feet into the distance, 30 feet into the distance, into the same room. And the guy looks like he has a blue eye and a purple eye, like Biden looks fucking dead. He looks like a zombie. But anyway, he's straining his face muscles. He's struggling so hard to have even a limited amount of pushback on him. And he's No. Let me ask you a question. Let me try to bullshit you and you try to tie yourself into your own mistake. And of course, he says, okay, so you campaign on honesty, decency, and that the buck stops here and that you won't be like Trump who blames other people for his shit and all that. Oh, yeah, okay, well, if that's the case, then do you bear responsibility for the way you fucked this up in the last 2 weeks? And he's like, oh, and then he goes ahead and says, well, I mean, yeah, sure, but. Let me obstruct by saying, it was Trump's fault somehow because he made a deal a year ago, and I'm going to try to poison the well by trying to ask you a question about trivia about the Taliban deal from over a year ago and see if you remember that off the top of your head because, yeah, I mean, completely asshole move over there by Biden, but let's see what happens.
I think they have an issue that people are likely to get hurt. Some, as we've seen, have gotten killed, and that it is messy. The reason why, whether my friend will acknowledge it, and has reported it, the reason why there were no attacks on Americans, as you said, from the date until I came into office, was because the commitment was made by President Trump, I will be out by May 1st. In the meantime, you agree not to attack any Americans. That was the deal. That's why no American was attacked.
You squarely stand by your decision to pull out.
Yes, I do, because look at it.
That literally isn't the point, though. Okay, so he's saying, well, the reason why nobody got killed under Trump is because he made the deal with the Taliban. But if you remember, that deal wasn't made until 2019, I believe. So when you point out that there wasn't, after Obama's term ended in 2017, how come there weren't many casualties in America from 2017 to 18? And you look at, okay, well, why aren't the Taliban suicide bombing us in 2017 and 18 under Trump in any significant numbers? And why are you... So then in that case, what the hell's going on? And also keep in mind that the deal was supposed to be May 1st, 2021 is hypothetically when that should have happened, right? So he's saying like, well, the deal protected Trump and they started attacking us when I became president because the deal expired or whatever. And if that's the case, why didn't they do mass suicide bombings in June 2021 after the deal was supposed to happen already in May 1st of 2021? Why didn't they attack us on July? It's because we were actually in a fighting focus, right? Whereas Biden, like, all of a sudden in August says, okay, fuck it, we're pulling out right now. Like, seriously, come on. We're getting attacked because we're weak, not because, oh, well, Trump made a deal. That's not the case. And even before he made the deal, we weren't getting attacked in any significant regard. So in that case, what the hell's going on? He's lying again. Come on.
It this way, folks, and I have another meeting for real. But imagine where we'd be.
I have another meeting. I mean, unless it's like a president of another country, how are you going to be like, oh, yeah, sorry, underling in the government. Yeah, I'm the fucking president. I took an extra 2 minutes answering a couple more questions. Again, so, oh, I have a meeting to go to. Really? You're the president. You could call off the meeting and make everybody do 20 push-ups if you wanted to. This is so stupid. Again, another bullshit excuse.
On May the 1st, I was not going to renegotiate an evacuation date. We were going to stay there. I had only one alternative. Pour thousands more troops back into Afghanistan to fight a war that we had already won relative to the reason we went in the first place. I have never been of the view.
If we already won it for the reason we went in, by those mission goals, then if that's the case, when you pull out after you killed Osama originally, right? When you pull out in 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, why didn't you? Again, disingenuous. All right, so either he did not have enough power over Obama / he was a pussy, or he didn't know any better and he's stupid. Okay, come on. So what, it just came up to you just now, this year or whatever, that you should have pulled out and not 2015? Why not? So again, stupid. And let's keep in mind, he's saying, well, I already made this commitment, and what are we going to do, fight the war again? We don't have to fight the war again. All we need to do is surge in troops to guard the perimeter as we're getting the civilians out and the contractors and whoever else, translators, and then get the army out last and the Air Force and all that. But so again, he's lying. He's so full of shit. He's so evil, bro. And fuck you guys that say like, but he's senile, he doesn't know better. Even if that's the case, he should not have signed up out of his own will and consent to become president then. If he knows that he's losing his shit, why is he signing up to be president then? There's 20 other Democrats running in 2019. Why didn't he just leave it up to them? Let Pete Buttplug be president. Fuck it. It'd be better, honestly, in regards to pulling out, because he'd actually be smart enough to think, okay, well, I need to surge in troops so this isn't a disaster, like Saigon 1975 or whatever, and it's just like that. So Biden is fully stupid, and he has no excuse. He's 78 years old, okay? And according to the media, he doesn't have dementia, so he's fully aware of what is happening. He's been around long enough to remember all the times we fucked up by pulling out, including Vietnam in the 70s. He was a 30-year-old man at that point. He didn't know better then, apparently, and he doesn't know better now. Come Come on.
sacrificing American lives to try to establish a democratic government in Afghanistan, a country that has never once in its entire history been a united country and is made up, I don't mean this in a derogatory, made up of different tribes who have never, ever, ever gotten along with one another. And so, as I said before, this is the last comment I'll make. We'll have more chance to talk about this, unfortunately, beyond, because we're not out yet. If Osama bin Laden, as well as al-Qaeda, had chosen to launch an attack when they left Saudi Arabia out of Yemen, would we have ever gone to Afghanistan? Even though the Taliban completely controlled Afghanistan at the time. Would we have ever gone? I know it's not fair to ask you questions, it's rhetorical, but raise your hand if you think we should have gone and given up thousands of lives and tens of thousands of wounded. Our interest in going was to prevent al-Qaeda from reemerging, first to get bin Laden, wipe out al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, prevent that from happening again. As I've said 100 times, terrorism has metastasized around the world. We have greater threats coming out of other countries, a heck of a lot closer to the United States. We don't have military encampments there. We don't keep people there. We have over the horizon capability to keep them from going after us. Ladies and gentlemen, it was time to end a 20-year war. Thank you so much.
Complete L, bro. That was fucking awful. That was whack. Holy shit, that was bad. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Jeez, his standing went down. Biden coin is at an all-time low. It is plummeting, bro. It is over for Biden cells, bro. I'm telling you, Biden bros are on suicide watch. You know, keep checking on them every 15 minutes, bro. They're getting close. This guy couldn't even last half an hour with the prepared speech and with prepared questions. He still lost. He still went out and looked worse than he did before. He might as well have not said a single fucking word about the people being killed in Afghanistan, and he would have been better. He did nothing. He did not contextualize the situation properly. He tried to gaslight everybody watching by blaming the generals when he knows himself that it was his own idea or the people controlling him about pulling out the way he did. He pretty much conceded inadvertently that he did not plan this through well, and that either he fucked it up or the generals fucked it up, and that he's not capable of taking responsibility because he just goes and gaslights people about how it was Trump's fault somehow. And then he goes on the principle of, well, we should have pulled out anyway. You know, I'm populist, you know. We should have pulled out. Okay, why didn't we pull out then after we killed Osama under Obama? Huh? What kind of logic is this? So, again, what the hell? And then he's saying, well, see, the whole point was to get rid of Al-Qaeda. Well, if that's the point, well, what about ISIS? ISIS is debatably worse than Al-Qaeda. And yet, we're just going to leave them to fight the Taliban? Is that really a good idea? Again, so completely disingenuous person, completely evil, a complete sociopath, and not even a smart one at that, honestly. So, again, he's completely disingenuous. He brings up his own dead son to elicit emotional support from the audience. That is despicable. That is diabolical. He literally uses scripture to defend his ass politically, bro. Fuck Joe Biden. That is satanic. That is evil as hell. That is so evil. What a wicked son of a bitch is Joe Biden. What a wicked guy, bro. He does the wrong thing. Not only does he fail on principle, he also lies about everything, okay? So he's trying to gaslight everybody watching. He knows he fucked up, and he's trying to explain it away as if like, oh, I'm the nice guy now. I'm the populist, you know, the guy who's been in politics for 50 years but only came up with this idea just now. Awful. So again, you could debate whether or not pulling out of Afghanistan was a good idea. Honestly, yeah, it's arguably the right thing to do. But the way he did it was completely terrible, and he just cannot take responsibility for his own actions. And even when he tries to blame other people, he lies more than he has to, and he makes shit up out of thin air, and he just looks stupid while he's doing it. He's not coherent. You saw me play that whole clip in 2x speed, and he still came off demented, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion that aren't completely Democratic biased, okay? So, again, complete L for Joe Biden. I'm not even going to watch the Jen Psaki conference. She's a lot smarter than Joe Biden, but that's not saying anything at all. So, again, that's too boring. I'm not going to watch that. But, yes. So, I rate this press conference for Joe a 4 at best. It was completely fucking awful. I'd rate it a 2 out of 10. He went short of just saying, like, I don't care that they died, bro. I don't care. You guys are gay. You know, so complete bad optics. Completely incompetent. He could not make it. He looks weak. He's old. He's balding on the top of his head, and he's been balding this entire time. But again, the hair transplant makes it look like he's in the middle of balding, which is weird because you know if you started balding in your 30s or 40s, you would have been bald by the time you're 78. But apparently he isn't. So Again, this guy's diabolical, and people say, Trump supporters are basically demonizing us for being never Trump, but you guys are never Biden. You know what? Honestly, yes, this guy's pure. He's terrible. At the very least, you can say, you know what, Bernie, you're pretty genuine for a politician. Bernie, you are honest, relatively speaking. You are straightforward. Whereas Biden is lying about virtually everything, and he's super incompetent, and he's just so evil. Fuck him. He's manipulative, and he's not good at it either. So, God, he is so bad. He is so bad. Yeah, so Biden coin is going down. I hope you guys appreciate my coverage over this. I had to be a little bit quiet, but you should have been able to hear everything. And if this didn't record right, I'm going to be pissed. But yes, anyways, comment down below. What do you think is going to happen in Afghanistan? And what is the current valuation for Biden coin? I'd say Biden coin has easily gone down 15% since the inauguration. This is a complete failure so far. And we're not even a year in. So, yeah. Obviously, rest in peace the Marines that got killed by the terrorist. I mean, that's pretty bad, and Joe Biden is not making it any better, and this is terrible. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you guys. Thanks for watching. Finally, 3, 2, 1, and I'm out of here, guys. Adios.